What purpose the gentleman from California rise?
Speaker, I rise to express my appreciation to my distinguished colleague, the gentlewoman from Rochester, New York, the distinguished chair of the Committee on Rules, and I appreciate having the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself such time as I might consume and ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in opposition to this rule and the underlying resolution. This rule lays out a bad process, and the underlying legislation lays out bad policy. This rule silences any meaningful debate on the floor by denying both Republicans and Democrats the right to offer any amendments or any substitute whatsoever. Mr. Speaker, the Democratic leadership has attempted to mask this denial of real debate by providing us with 36 hours of floor time. But this nearly unprecedented amount of time is really little more than a joke. 36 hours of debate without any opportunity whatsoever to voice dissent with a substitute amounts to nothing more than 36 hours of talk. The American people want and deserve a real and meaningful debate, not empty gestures that show utter disregard for an honest and open discussion on this issue. We can't have a discussion that explores real options. Why can't we have a discussion that explores real options and real solutions? The reason is very clear, Mr. Speaker. Our Democratic colleagues have none. It was bad enough when we addressed issues like stem cell research and the minimum wage without any transparency or openness whatsoever. We've dealt with several important issues in a complete vacuum, but now our Democratic colleagues are running roughshod over our national security, what is clearly the #1 priority that we as a federal government, as federally elected officials, address. We know, Mr. Speaker, that the war on terror and policy in Iraq is very clearly the single most important issue that will be addressed by the 110th Congress. It clearly ranked very high on the list of issues voters cared about most in last November's election. The American people are concerned about this war, and they want to know that their elected officials are developing a sound and effective policy. So what have the Democrats offered us? What is the substance of their proposal? A non-binding resolution that denies the troops the numbers that they need to succeed. In other words, their proposal is in fact meaningless as legislation, and it is disastrous as a policy. Mr. Speaker, it is an admission of defeat, and it is a vote of no confidence in our troops. Like it or not, it is a vote of no confidence in our troops. Why? Because it does not provide our troops what they need to succeed. Mr. Speaker, we are all opposed to the status quo in Iraq. And the President stood right here when he delivered his State of the Union message and made it very clear. He wants this war to be over, and he wants it to be won. We all know about the tremendous challenges that our men and women are facing over in Iraq. We all know that. We hear it regularly from our constituents, the families, and we hear it directly from the men and women who are serving. We all feel very deeply about the enormity of the sacrifice that so many have made in service to their country. And we know that they look to their commander-in-chief for a strategy for victory. The President has put forth his strategy, Mr. Speaker. With the advice and close consultation of our generals in the field, he has called for a surge in troop levels in order to give our armed forces the support that they need. Why again is he doing this? So that he can give our men and women in uniform, our troops, the support that they need so that they can succeed. Now, Mr. Speaker, it is our role as a Congress to thoroughly vet the President's proposal, to ensure that we develop an effective policy for moving forward. With this resolution, the Democrats have ignored our constitutional role. They've not held a single hearing on this resolution. They've called not one expert witness to testify for the record on the merits of this resolution. All that they offer is a knee-jerk reaction against anything that the President says. Again, anything that the President says is wrong in the eyes of so many of our colleagues. Obviously, we, Mr. Speaker, cannot be a rubber stamp for the executive branch, the second branch of government. But neither can we forfeit our duty as a deliberative body to fully explore the plan that has been put forward and to craft sound public policy as it relates to this. Mr. Speaker, in the absence of any deliberation, the Democrats have concocted a resolution that simply does, as I say, concede defeat. To the American people, it admits the Democratic leadership is devoid of ideas, and to the troops, it admits that they have no faith in their mission. No faith in the troops' mission whatsoever, because they need this sound strategy that has been put into effect so that we can, in fact, attain victory and they can be successful. What's worse, it tries to shroud their lack of faith in our military with platitudes about supporting our troops. You can't claim support for our troops without supporting their mission, Mr. Speaker. Again, you cannot claim to support our troops without supporting their mission. It is an outrage that they would deny our men and women in harm's way the traditional and additional support that they need to succeed. Now, Mr. Speaker, yesterday afternoon I had the opportunity to talk with one of my constituents, a former Marine called Ed Blecksmith. Very tragically, 2 years ago this past November, his son JP was killed in one of the most famous battles in the war in Iraq, the Battle of Fallujah. Mr. Blecksmith implored me to support a policy of victory. He said that his son's death will have been in vain if we do not complete our mission. He made it very, very clear to me again, we got into this battle to win, and victory is in fact the only option. That's from the father of a man who was tragically killed in Iraq. And I know that we're going to hear a wide range of views over the next 36 hours that have come forward from different families, and of course our hearts go out to them. But I will say that this proud former Marine does not want his son to have died in vain, and he is insistent that we do all that we can to ensure that we complete this mission. Mr. Speaker, the war in Iraq, like all wars, has been very long, very difficult, and very painful. It has come at a very high price, and we all know that it's taken its toll on the American people. But, Mr. Speaker, we go to war to win. We go to war with a mission, and we dishonor the lives of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice if we, in fact, abandon that mission. Mr. Speaker, this resolution offers no hope to the troops, and it offers no hope to the people of this country who want to see the conflict in Iraq resolved so that our troops can come home to their families. Mr. Speaker, they deserve better. We have a duty to offer them something better. We have a duty to pursue nothing less than victory. I urge my colleagues to reject this rule, reject this resolution, and instead work together to fulfill our constitutional responsibility as effective legislators. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.